Fantastic! Hello there! Master Hellish here, and welcome back to our OpenTTD tutorial series. Today we're back with the trains and we'll be looking at some intermediate train stuff. Now last time we did one train going backwards and forwards on one track between two stations. We're going to step it up a notch. First of all, let's unpause the game so our train can go backwards and forwards. There we go. Now, for our next example, we're going to do more than one train sharing the same track. And there's a couple of different ways to do this, and one is easier than the other. So we'll start off with probably one of the more easier ones. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to get some stations, just like we did before. So we click the Build Railway Track icon, we click the Build Railway Station icon, and then we have our station thing as before. For this particular one, I'm going to demonstrate by, oh look at that, that's a good place to put a station. Look at that. If we put a station there, we get fantastic coverage. That's what that purpley blue colour is. That's the catchment area of your station. So we're going to put a station there. That's brilliant. The only problem is we've got some road in the way, but we can use the deconstruction tool just to get rid of that. You can press A on the keyboard, brings up the auto tool. There we go. We used it last time, so no real surprise there. And what I'm going to do this time is have a line coming in and out of the station. Last time we made what is called a terminus station. You only get a line going in one end. This time we've got a line going through. Now sometimes these are referred to as pass-through stations. That is very often if the train's going in different directions and all that sort of thing. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going in one side and out the other. And they're very often referred to as a row station. Roll in, roll off, or roll in, roll out, depending on what part of the world you're from. So, we've got a station up there. Let's come back down and put... Should we go back down? Yeah, let's go back down. And we'll put another station in. We'll put it here on the end of the town. Its catchment area is nowhere near as good as the other station we've just put in, but never mind. And we're going to put a corner there. We're going to put it to here. It doesn't really matter too much exactly where you do your track. Later on in the tutorials, we will look at building more efficient track, how you can make things work better and faster. But I'm just going to connect these up mainly for demonstration purposes. So here we go. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. If you didn't mean to do that, you can hold control and it will just remove it. There we go. Probably learnt that last episode if you watched. If you didn't watch the last episode in the train tutorial, I suggest you go check out my playlist, and the link is in the description of this video for the playlist. But check out the playlist and have a look through. Make sure you watch the videos before this one, especially the train one, and that will help you with what's going on. Now, I've just realised here, this is a real big inefficiency. This is an example of what we'll look at more later. The train's going this way, and then it's going along, and then it's going back again. It's a lot quicker if we just do this and go straight across there. Yeah, nice, quick shortcut. There we are. That looks better to me already. Right, so what we have here is a loop. Now the loop is the most easiest, but yet one of the better ways of laying track. This one down here with one track and one train is the easiest, but it's not going to make you a lot of money. It's going to be quite difficult to shift a lot of passengers. If you've got hundreds and, well, here we are, look, we've got thousands of passengers waiting at this station here. This train just will not cope with this, and the only real way to do that is to add more trains, and this is what we're going to be doing today. So, for trains to be able to go on this track, we're going to have to add signals. Now, we go into the Build Railway Track tool, and then here next to the Stations tool is the Build Railway Signals. When we click this, we get the signal selection. Now, these ones at the top are called semaphore signals, and then we've got the electric ones down the bottom. The top and bottom row are identical. Okay, so this first signal at the bottom here is exactly the same as the signal above it. Now, there's just a difference in the graphics. You can use whichever one you like. Okay, it depends what you personally prefer. But the function of this one at the top and this one beneath it is the same. They do the same thing. Now, you've got 6 different types of signals to choose from here, and we'll show you how to use them a lot more in future episodes, but today we're going to use it nice and simple. We're going to start with this basic block signal. Most of the signals divide tracks up into blocks. So let's have a look at some examples. Here we have a section of track. If I put a signal in here like that, we now have one section of track in 2 blocks. I'm just going to use pieces of road to help me demonstrate and mark out. So we've got a block there, and we've got a block here, divided by the signals. When a train is in a block, that block becomes occupied. So let's demonstrate that. Let's put a depot on the end, and let's get a train, new vehicle, any train, and we'll send it on its way. Without any orders, doesn't matter, it'll come out the depot. And I'm just going to stop it there. There we go. So we've got a train in this block here on the right hand side. We'll call this, for argument's sake, block A. Yeah, block A. And we'll call this one over here, guess what, block C. Ah, you thought I was going to say B. Right, so we've got 2 different blocks, 2 different sections. Now, originally when we placed these signals, this light here that we're looking at now, this light just here under the cursor, was green. Now you can't see very well, but this light on the other side is green, and we'll talk about that in a second. It's now showing red, this light that we can see. And the reason for that is that it's telling any train which may be coming up to it that the block in front of it, in this case block A, is occupied and you cannot go into it. And of course we've got a train in there. So a train in block C, sat here looking at that signal, will get a red signal because there's a train in block A. If we unstop this train, unstop, I love that phrase, and put it into block C, and stop it, you can see that the signal has now turned green. Any train coming up to the signal in block C, looking into block A, will now get a green signal because there's nothing there. And that's really it. That's signals in a nutshell. When it gets down to the bare basics of signals, signals break track up into blocks and change depending on whether the block's busy or the block's not. Now, there's a few different ways you can place different signals, and there's exit signals, entry signals, path signals. We'll look at them another time. But for now, that's all we're going to look at. So the only other thing to mention with these signals, if you want to get up signals quickly using keyboard shortcuts, you can press A to bring up the auto tool. That will automatically open the railway construction bar if you haven't got it already open. If you have got the railway construction bar open already, you can press S, and that will bring up your signals. So if you've already got it open, just press S. If you haven't already got it open, A and then S. Signals right away. So we want to put some signals on our track here, on our loop. Now if we wanted to, we could do one click like that and put some signals in. That will break it up into kind of one section here and one section there. It kind of doesn't work very well in a loop because the end of one section here is all the way around and ends on the other side there because we've only got one signal at the minute. Now, what we can do is continue to click on the signals. If we click again, you'll see instead of it being 2 signals, one each way, we get 1 signal pointing one direction. And if we do it again, we get a signal pointing the other direction. And this is for one-way signals, and this is for trains that just go in one way around a loop. But that's really what we want. We want trains to be going one way around this loop. It makes things nice and easy. So, all we need to do is place 2 stations, link them up, turn it into a loop, pop a signal in, and then what we've got to do is add some more signals, because having this as one big block, that's no good. If we put another signal over here like this, go away, facing the other way, we now have 1 block towards the top and 1 block towards the bottom. Okay, and this would work, you know, with one train, it's not a problem. But if you want to add multiple trains in, trains need their own blocks. It's going to get filled up very quickly. So what we need to do is add more signals. And if we're going back to the signal selection tool again, this option on the end here, this, what is currently 3 on my screen, may be different for you, is the number of blocks in between signals when you drag. So what happens is if you click and drag on a signal along the track, it will place signals for you along the track, creating a section. So you can see if we just use the road to mark it, we've got a block here, we've got a block here, and of course we've got a block that goes all the way around to there as well. So we're dividing our track up into these blocks. Let's bring the signals back up again. Now you can see that the signals were placed every 3. So that's 1, 2, signal, 1, 2, signal. So every 3 blocks there was a signal, and that's what that 3 represents. You can click these little arrows here and that changes it, so it's now set to 5, so I can drag this way and you can see we've got 4 gaps in between and then a signal. Okay, so the number is how many blocks it is until another signal's placed. So you don't have to click on a signal and drag and go all the way around this. There's other ways you can do it too. So we're just going to remove these. Now to remove them, I've just pressed R. That brings up the remove tool. The other way of removing signals, if you've got a signal, is to click the remove tool on the bar there. It's the bulldozery tool, and that just gets rid of it. So let's get rid of this one down here as well. There we go. So we've got no signals. Let's do it the easy way, like the easy way. I'm going to start at the end of the station and put some signals in. I'm going to click again so it's going in one direction because it's a loop. We want our trains going around in one direction. Now, I could click on the signal and drag out and do each little bit of the round the loop bit by bit. Now, you can't go around corners when you drag. You can only go along the bit that you're doing. Okay. But there's a way around that. What you can do is hold control whilst dragging. So you set the spacing. I've got mine set to 5. I want it to be 5. I think that's good. So I'm going to click, drag, and whilst I'm dragging, I'm holding control. Now I'm only going to drag this far, but because I'm holding control, the game automatically, when you let go, places signals along your route. It places signals all the way around until it either gets to a station, a junction, or a signal. Okay, so you can see here we've got signals coming all the way from our station, all the way around, and then it gets to another station. Now, just for argument's sake, if we put a junction in here, we'll do more junctions and stuff in later tutorials, and then drag along the other side. Now you can see I'm going to put a signal on this diagonal, and I'm going to drag out this way. Now if I drag out this way without holding control, nothing happens. It's because it only does along the area you're dragging, and we're not dragging along the track. If we hold control, it will automatically follow the track and do the rest of the signals. There we go, we've got some signals. But because we've got this junction here, it doesn't put signals on the other side of it. Okay, so it only does the signals up to the next junction or station. So I'm just going to finish this bit by doing signals and dragging and holding control. And you can see we've now got signals round in a loop. Now let me do a rough estimation. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 different sections of track on this. So in theory, we could have up to 13 trains going round and round and round, as long as a train was only occupying one block. Now we'll see what happens when a train occupies 2 blocks soon. So I'm going to put a depot in a random place. We're going to get a new vehicle. We're going to pick a random train. Because this is a tutorial, a demo, I've got pretty much infinite money. I cheated it in for demonstration purposes. I'm going to stick with a steam train, and I'm going to get a load of passenger carriages. Now, I'm going to deliberately make it really long. Passenger carriages, there we are, passenger carriages. Really long, there we go. I'm going to tell it to go to one station, and I'm going to tell it to go to the other station, and we're going to get it going. There we go. So the train is now coming out of the depot, and we're going to wait until it comes around the other side, because it can be a bit hard to see what the signal is on the other side of the track. You can just see the green glow behind the back of the signal there, and when the train goes through, it changes. We're going to have a look at the way that the train moves as it comes through the signals on the other side. Now, this is quite important to understand these things. I'm just going to pause the game for a second, because if you don't understand these kind of fundamental basics, it can seem very overwhelming when we look at the complex examples in later tutorials. So this train's going to be aged at the station. Oh, no, he isn't. He's on his way already. He's on his way already. Right, now, I'm just going to quickly stop it. Yeah, no, well, let's go to the next section. Okay, I'm just going to fast forward the game a little bit because he's broke down, and pause the game. Right. So train 3, our fantastically long train, is currently on the track. It is currently occupying 3 separate blocks. It's occupying this one here. Oh, the game's paused. I'll tell you what, I'll stop the train and unpause the game. Stop, stop, right. Bad example. Let's move forward a little bit. Move forward a little bit. I want to get a good example here, please. Okay. Now stop. There we go. Right, so the train, the engine is in this block here. Okay. And the main part of the body of the train is in this block here, and the back end of the train is in this block here. Which means all 3 of these blocks are occupied by this one train. Now, because this block here is occupied, the signal going into it is red. Because this block here is occupied, the signal going into it is red as well. And because this block here is occupied, the signal going into it is red. Now this block back here, not occupied by a train, the signal going into it is green. And that's really it. That's the basics of signals. If you can get that, I know I've spent quite a long-winded way of telling you all of this, but I really wanted you to be able to understand the way that these signals and the signal blocks work. If you can understand that, you're well on your way to understanding a lot in OpenTTD, especially with the more complex trains and signals. So there we go. There is the next level, I believe. Now, what we're going to do is that I'm going to demonstrate we can have multiple trains. So if we get a new train, we're going to have this one be a lot shorter. It's going to be a lot quicker. We're going to give it some orders. We're going to tell it to go here, and we're going to tell it to go there. Now, because this train is shorter, it's going to be a little bit faster. It's going to catch up with the other train eventually, especially with the other train breaking down. So I'm just doing a little bit fast forwarding. So we'll be able to see when the shorter, faster train catches up with the... or it should catch up. There you are. Is it broken down? It's broken down at the minute, I think. You broken down? Yeah, train 4's broken down. Don't break... here we go. It's about to catch up. I'm just going to pause the game. So... the new train, train 4, is just about to catch up with our train 3, who looks like he's left the station. He's currently occupying this signal block, so when train 4 gets to this light, it will stop. Ready? And there. Train 4 is now stopped at the light, and he will stay there until train 3 gets out of the way. Now, train 3 broke down for a little while, so you have to wait until the end of train 3 comes completely out of that block, which it's about to do. There it goes. This signal down here, where train 4 is, changes green for a split second, and then train 4 moves into it. It's just broken down now, so it's just going to take a moment. There we are. And then train 4 can move into that block. You can see here the signal turned green. The signal's green for the block in front of train 4 now, and the train moves into that block and it turns red. And there we go. That's it. Now, these trains are just going to loop round and round and round. They might make us money, they might not. It's not really about the money making. I'm not doing that at this time. It's about how to lay the track and stuff. I'm not necessarily saying that this is how the track should be laid. I'm teaching you the mechanics behind it. Well, one last thing to do before we move on to next time is we're going to look at another type of track. So we've got one train, one track. We've got a loop with multiple trains on one track. We're now going to do another multi-train one. So we're going to put a station down there, and well, let's do it quite short. Let's put a station here. I'm going to quickly connect them up like this and like this. We'll put a little bit in the middle there. I'll put a depot in so we can get some trains. And let's get a new vehicle. Let's get a steam train with just a couple of carriages. There we go. Same as what we did in the last railway tutorial, pretty much. And away it goes. So we've got a steam train going backwards and forwards. One train, one track. Now what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade this so we can have multiple trains on it. And how can we do that? Well, we can do it with passing places. Now, passing places aren't used that often in OpenTTD, usually because there's bigger and more complex solutions available out there that are more efficient. However, they're a good way to learn about the way trains work and signals work, and also when you start your game you might not be able to afford large complex solutions, so you might actually end up using passing places in the early game. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do something pretty simple, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. We're going to put a junction in the line. We're going to go along for a little while, and then we're going to connect up the line with another junction. And this is going to be our passing place. We're going to allow trains to go past each other in that section. So how do we do the signals for this? Well, we can take our block signals and we can just put some signals there, some signals there, some signals there, and some signals there. And what we've done is we've divided this line, which was one massive block, up into a number of blocks. Let's examine those blocks quickly. First of all, we have the block down here. The block that includes the station and the exit to the station as well. And this track, this junction, it also includes that junction as well. Okay, that is one block. We'll call it, for argument's sake, block 1. No, that's an A. 1. Okay, Then over here, we've used some signals to divide these pieces of track up into some extra blocks. So we've got a little block here, and we've got a little block on this side as well. So we will name these blocks 2 and blocks 3. There we go. And we've also got the block down this side. So we've got the station and all this track down here. This is all a block along with this junction over here. So I'm just going to put some road in there to denote that this junction here is also part of this block. And that is block, we'll call that block 4. Why not? Okay, so we've divided this kind of this track that was one great big block into 4 different blocks. And blocks 2 and 3 are parallel to each other. So that will allow trains to pass. Now let's examine the signals. Let's just pause the game for a second and examine the signals. Actually, let's let the train move for a second. Get down the other end, train. Thank you. And we'll pause it there. It's easier to see. So examining the signals, we can see that the signals going into block 2 and into block 3. Let's just get to, there we go. So yeah, the signals going into block 2 and block 3 from block 1 down here are both green. That's because there's no trains in there, they're free. Now these 2 signals at the end of block 2 and at the end of block 3 are both going into block 4. And in block 4 we have our train. So block 4 is occupied and our train is taking up the space. Because it's occupied, it's red. Okay? And the opposite happens the other way around. So if we wait for our train to come back again, bit of fast forwarding. There we go. Now if we just stop here, we've got our train in the middle of block 2. So now, if you're in block 1, looking to go towards block 2 and 3, the signal heading into block 2 is red, but the signal heading into block 3 is green because there's no train in that block. There's also no train in block 4, so the signals going into block 4 are green as well. And you can see the signal at the back there, you may just be able to see the red. The signal going into block 2 from block 4 is also red because there are trains in there as well. So that's how that works. Let's introduce a new train. I'm just going to clone a train. We'll talk probably more about cloning trains and so forth in future tutorials. In fact, we'll probably have a tutorial all about cloning vehicles and orders and so forth later on. Let's just get one more new train on the go. So we've got train 5 and train 6 here. Let's see how they interact with each other. At the moment, we've got a train in block 1 and we've got a train in block 4. Okay, they're about to come towards each other, but they will not crash because we put some signals in. I'm just going to pause the game here. So you can see that the signals in block 2 and in block 3 that going into block 4 are both red because our train's in the way. Now just down here you might be able to see that the signals going from block 2 and from block 3 into block 1 are also red because we've got a train there as well. Let's see what happens as they come together. Okay, so one of our trains decided to go into block 2. That's freed up block 4. Both of these signals are now green. The signal going into block 2 is now red because that block is taken. When this train reaches the end of block 2, it will stop because the signal's red for going into block 1 because there's a train there. What's going to happen is the train that's approaching the passing place will see that there's only really one option to go. The signal going into block 2 is red, so it won't go that way. The signal going into block 3 is green, so the train will choose that and go into block 3. Let's have a look at that. There we are. Train stops at the end of block 2 and is waiting to go into block 1. The other train comes through into block 3. As soon as the train comes completely into block 3, the train that's in block 2 is then allowed to go into block 1. That signal turned to green momentarily. And away it goes. And that is how we do a passing place. Just some simple little signals like that. Now you can only cope with so many trains in a system with passing places like this. You probably really, if you wanted more trains on this line, you could do it like this, but you probably need more passing places. The more passing places you've got, the more trains you can have. So here we go, we're going to put another passing place in and we're going to send out another train. Let's see how this goes. Oh, look at that. We've got a train waiting in our new block. We're going to call it block 5. No, not block 5. We've got a train waiting on our new block. Now, of course, let's pause the game. Me putting this passing place in has broken up this. Hang on a minute. Has broken up this block here. We've now got so many more blocks. We've got one over here with the station and the entrance into there. We've got one there. We've got one here. We've been breaking it up. Every time you put a signal in, there's one there as well. Every time you put a signal in, you break up the blocks. There's the new blocks denoted by the roads. And there we have it. So I hope you've enjoyed this intermediate tutorial about trains and signals. We've really getting multiple trains on multiple tracks and working out the signals and how it works. Now this is what can happen. I will mention this. Did you see that we had a train getting stuck? And that's what happens when you have a lot of trains on the same lines. Now we got a depot there. Luckily, that can help things out a little bit if there's depots in the way. But this is why I said it's not particularly efficient to do what we're doing. But passing places are an important thing to learn. So last time we did one train on one track. This time we've done multiple trains on a loop and multiple trains with passing places. We've learnt about the first signal. In the future episodes, in more advanced railways, we will learn about the other types of signals, and we'll also learn about more advanced types of railway track systems. But that's going to be all for now. If you've got any questions, any thoughts or ideas, please feel free to pop them down in the comment sections below. If you've enjoyed this video or it's been helpful, please give it a like. And if you want to follow my series, please consider subscribing, and always check out that link in the description for the playlist of the full tutorial. I do try and be as thorough as possible. Hope that you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Master Hellish. This has been my OpenTTD tutorial series, and that's all for now. Goodbye.